welcome back Ronan Farrow.
Yeah,
guys.
thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah.
Thank you for
And
coming
for
back.
consistently at this table tackling those hard subjects.
Thank you.
I respect the hell out of that.
Nice.
Thank you.
Well, I think we've all just been engulfed in this, and we got an early copy, so thank you for trusting us. First, I just want to thank you on behalf of all women in media. You're making it safer for us.
Thank you,
because
Megan.
it has been open season and Abby and I came from Fox. It's been open season for a really long time, and I know me and every woman I've talked to in this industry is really, really sick of it. So I just want to start, you're very brave.
It means so much, and the people who are brave in this book are the sources. And ultimately, Whoopi's right, there's a lot of dark stuff in this book, but also it is again and again, I hope you guys found this, a hopeful story about brave people saying enough.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we have a lot to get to, but let's start with the allegations about Matt Lauer. It made a lot of news last week. NBC claims Lauer was fired in 2017 for, quote, inappropriate sexual behavior in the workplace. But in the book, you write that the alleged victim, Brooke Neville's allegations are much more disturbing. I found them much more disturbing. She says she was raped. What does Neville say happened that night? And for me, I keep saying I've been done with Matt Lauer since the way he treated Ann Curry. So.
And Ann Curry is incredibly brave in this book and speaks out about having actually reported another incident involving Matt, involving another colleague years before that firing. So, you know, this is about more than any one person, any one allegation, as serious as they are. This is about how systems of silencing and protecting, sometimes enshrined in corporate and legal practices at a company, shut people up, and maybe that risks other people getting hurt. For Brooke Neville's, you're absolutely right. This was described in one way initially, and we talk in the book about how people were calling it an affair. There's significant evidence in the book that it was actually actively characterized in the press as an affair at the behest of some people at NBC. And as recently as last week, they were still doing that. This was not an affair, what she alleges. Now, the book is incredibly carefully fact-checked. It's very fair to Matt Lauer. Matt Lauer's thinking is all in there. But what she claims is that she said no to a very brutal and violent act and was injured by it. And you know, it's been weaponized against her that, as in so many cases of sexual violence, she was then in a situation where she's working with this guy and she couldn't, in her description, get away from him, and there were other encounters that happened afterwards. But she has been clear in saying that is not an affair. That was her struggling to get out of a toxic situation with someone who had previously attacked her.
Well, let me ask you this, because Matt Lauer wrote a response letter. And he calls the account categorically false. He says that the sexual encounter with Brooke, like all of his relationships, was completely consensual. He also says that she was an enthusiastic and willing partner. He says at no time did she behave in a way that made it appear she was incapable of consent. He suggests she's lying about him in an effort to sell a book. And he also goes on to say that all of these women he's had affairs with have abandoned shared responsibility. What is your response to that?
I will let that statement stand on its own and only say that, as with everything else I report on, Matt Lauer was given a very fair opportunity for fact-checking and comment, and his thinking and many of the ideas you conveyed there are in the book loud and clear. I'm confident in the reporting in the book. I'm confident in the fact-checking, and I will let the facts stand on their own. Brooke Neville's claims checked out. NBC felt they checked out, and they fired him over it. And I think that it represents an ongoing cover-up culture that we see way beyond NBC, that it has been so mischaracterized, and she has been so silenced, and in fact was paid 7 figures this year to ensure that she can never speak about NBC executives and what they did or didn't know about this.
But they say that they didn't know about Matt Lauer's
Here's what they actually say,
behavior
because
at all.
You claim that NBC had multiple secret settlements and non-disclosures with women who alleged misconduct from Lauer years before this incident. But NBC, they put out a statement today calling this, quote, false. They say the agreements you seem to be referring to involve employees who made no complaint to management and whose department agreements or departure agreements were unrelated to Lauer and completely routine. They add, we have no secrets. We've got nothing to hide. Do you have proof?
There is proof and a paper trail in this book. And here's the thing, the nature of secret sexual harassment settlements employed by Harvey Weinstein, employed by NBC, employed by a lot of the institutions in this book, is that they don't say, here's a payout so you don't talk about Matt Lauer and these specific things he did to you. The nature is, we know legally, it's euphemistic, it's a payout for silence, it bans them from talking about the company and what it knew, it's designed to protect executives. But we did the reporting and found that just about everyone involved in all these transactions said this was explicitly designed to shut up women with allegations about sexual harassment. And here again, the risk there is if companies continue to silence people, predators stay at companies, and more people potentially get hurt.
Also in that email, it was blast out to the employees this morning at NBC. I think they would rather you not be speaking anymore. Some of these executives, they say that you have an axe to grind against NBC News. You had a show that was canceled there, that you are angry with them. How do you respond?
Not even slightly. The book is very clear about the fact that I had friendly relationships with all these people outside of the killing of the Weinstein story, thought only highly of them. And the only reason that I'm not there now is because it became increasingly clear to me after all this went down that there was a much bigger story, that this was more than just the killing of one story. This was a pattern of concealment, and source after source came to me saying they had been abused in this corporate context and that there were systems designed to cover it up. Again, this is important in our profession, in the media. I did similar reporting on CBS, and by the way, similar claims there, axe to grind, smear campaign ahead of time. Every story I do, I get this sort of stuff.
Our shows were canceled at the same time.
They were.
So there's something we can always relate to.
But I think you would agree too that I kept working for years after there. There's clearly no axe to
You have a
grind.
Pulitzer Prize. I think we're done with that. You're a Pulitzer Prize.
But you know what? One of the big questions.
And also to Megan's point,
journalist.
There's this conversation that they're attempting to focus things on, which is what did I have and when?
Well, that's my question, because they're basically saying that your reporting, that they refused to run your reporting on Harvey Weinstein because your story wasn't ready. They also said that you had no accuser willing to have their name used on the record at that point, but you say that they ordered you to stop the investigation.
So look, the headline here is I took that same reporting they're talking about and took it across the street to the New Yorker, and a few weeks later, we did have this Pulitzer Prize-winning reporting that, thank God, thanks to the bravery of sources, really sparked a huge impact. I think the reporting is unimpeachable and stands on its own. It is actually an outright lie to say that there weren't named women. There were 3 named women during the time that the story was at NBC. No draft had fewer than 2 women, and we had a recording, a police recording of him admitting to crimes. So I think the reporting stands on its own, but it is misdirection to make the conversation about that. The conversation is about the fact that they ordered a stop to so much as a single phone call about the story. This book answers why.